my mother said. We spent 90% of your savings on your sister's house. Then asked me to pay the mortgage too. Hi, I'm Arlo, 27, and 2 weeks ago my mother looked me dead in the eye and said, we spent 90% of your savings to buy your sister's house. My sister, standing right beside her with a flute of champagne, actually scoffed and said, you didn't need that money anyway. I just laughed. Then I handed them an envelope. My mother's hand was shaking as she opened it. My sister's smirk slipped. That's when it started. The unraveling. Let me back up for a second. I've lived in my parents' house for 6 years. They thought it was because I couldn't afford to move out. They thought I was just a warehouse grunt who got promoted once and plateaued. They thought I was broke. That I was weak. That I was disposable. They were so convinced they built that story in their heads, and never once bothered to ask if any of it was true. I'm the operations director for a regional logistics company. I manage 15 warehouses across 3 states. Pull in $140,000 a year plus bonuses. I have a portfolio worth over $170,000 between investments and savings. They don't know that. No one does. Not my sister, not my mother, not my father. They see me as Arlo, the guy who never left home. The one who drives the beat-up Toyota. The one who says, sure, no problem, whenever they ask for help. They don't realize I've been paying the rent, the utilities, the groceries, the insurance, everything, for 6 years. They don't realize that every vacation they took, every unexpected repair, every grocery run, just until payday, was me. That I've been carrying all of them while they brag about how independent they are. My father, Marco, does part-time numbers for a car dealership. My mother, Elena, sells scented candles at a kiosk in the mall and thinks she's a retail entrepreneur. My sister? Sabrina is 25, hasn't had a job that lasted more than 6 weeks, and is building her brand. She has 600 followers, no sponsors, and thinks uploading brunch photos is content creation. I let it go for years. I let them believe their version. Until one night, my birthday, when everything flipped. I came home after working 2 back-to-back inventory shifts. I hadn't eaten. I hadn't slept. I just wanted quiet. Maybe a pizza. Maybe a beer. Instead, I walked into a party. Streamers, music, balloons, buffet catering from that upscale Italian place downtown. I froze in the hallway. My mother spotted me first. Arlo! Perfect timing. We're celebrating Sabrina's new job. Sabrina had just landed a cashier gig at some boutique that sells overpriced yoga mats. 3 days a week, $15 an hour. And they threw her a party. No one, not one person, mentioned my birthday. Not even, oh, it's also Arlo's birthday. Nothing. Then I saw the receipts on the counter. $460 for food. $180 for decorations. $140 for a custom cake. All of it on my card. The card I'd only ever used for household emergencies. They'd celebrated her job with my money on my birthday and forgot I existed. That night, I sat in my room and stared at the ceiling for a long time. Then I smiled. Cold and quiet. Because I knew exactly what I was going to do next. The next morning, I opened a new checking account under a different bank. Transferred $10,000 into it, just over 5% of my liquid assets. Then I called Mateo, my college roommate turned corporate attorney. You still doing contract work? For you? Always. What do you need? I want to set up a joint access account. But with some paperwork. Real formal. Real ironclad. He was silent for a beat. Then, what are you planning, Arlo? Let's just say it's a controlled experiment in financial morality. He laughed, said give him a few days. By the end of the week, he sent me an 8-page document. Professional formatting, clear clauses, real teeth. I read every line twice, then printed 3 copies. Sunday dinner came. Lasagna night. Sabrina was complaining about how exhausting retail was. My mom was already 3 glasses into her wine. Dad was watching a YouTube tutorial on how to paint kitchen cabinets. Perfect timing. Hey, I said, pulling out the envelope. I've been thinking. It's a hassle every time someone needs money and I have to transfer it or Venmo it or cover it on my card. So I figured, why not just give you all access? Silence. My mom perked up. Access to what? My savings, I said with a shrug. There's about $10,000 in there. It's everything I've managed to put aside. I figured I'd make it easy. Household expenses, groceries, whatever. Just don't go crazy. Sabrina tilted her head like a puppy. Wait. That's all you have? Yeah, I said, playing the part. Warehouse work doesn't exactly build a nest egg. My mom clucked sympathetically. My dad just nodded. Sabrina actually looked proud of herself. Then I slid the documents across the table. Just need your signatures. Bank requires it for joint access. Standard stuff. Pages 3, 5, and 8. They didn't read a single word. Not one. My mom signed first. My dad followed. Sabrina grabbed the pen like it was a marker at a meet and greet. I handed over the debit card. Just for essentials, okay? I'm trusting you. We'll be careful. My mom said with a smile that looked like victory. They had no idea. Over the next 2 months, I watched them burn through the money like it was on fire. Month 1 was predictable. Rent, power, groceries. All legit. I actually started to doubt myself. Maybe I was being too harsh. Then came month 2. $460 at Zara, Sabrina's interview outfit. $375 at a day spa, Mom's stress management. $820 at a steakhouse, Dad's networking dinner. No interviews happened. No job offers followed. And as for networking? Dad's business contact was his bowling buddy Joe. By the time month 3 rolled around, I documented everything. I built a spreadsheet. Every charge logged, categorized, timestamped. My lawyer friend Mateo added footnotes like it was a case file. They didn't just use the card. They weaponized it. Sabrina bought a new ring light. Mom got a therapeutic foot massager. Dad? A portable pizza oven. Because eating at home is cheaper. By the end of month 3, the balance was under $5,000. Then I found out what they were really planning. Sabrina left her iPad open one afternoon. I walked by on my way to the laundry room. Couldn't help but glance at the screen. Mortgage calculators. Real estate listings. A spreadsheet titled Dream Home Budget. Excel specs. They were planning to use the rest of the money as a down payment on a house. Her house. They weren't just spending recklessly. They were stealing with a smile. That night I didn't sleep. I lay on my back staring at the ceiling, the glow of my laptop screen casting shadows like ghosts on the walls. The spreadsheet was still open, her little dream home budget sitting there like a middle finger. The numbers were meticulous. $3,750 remaining in the account. Estimated closing costs, $3,500. Sabrina even had a note next to the final cell. Use Arlo's funds. He won't say no if Mom cries. That was the moment. That line. The click inside me wasn't anger. It wasn't even betrayal. It was math. Because I realized they weren't just selfish. They were strategic. Calculated. They'd gamed me for years and assumed I'd keep playing. They thought I was too loyal to fight back. They were wrong. The next week, the real estate games began. Sabrina walked in with printouts, circled addresses. Mom, this one has granite countertops and a clawfoot tub. Manifesting. Elena nodded, like it was a real business meeting. My dad barely glanced up from his phone. It's a buyer's market, he muttered. We gotta move fast. Then on Thursday, I overheard the conversation that locked everything in place. I had just walked in from work, shoes still on, bag still slung across my back. They were in the kitchen whispering like villains in a cartoon. If we act fast, we can get the offer in before the weekend, Mom said. What if Arlo finds out? Sabrina asked. He won't, Dad chimed in. He doesn't ask questions. He just pays. I was 10 feet away. I didn't move. Didn't make a sound. They really didn't think I mattered enough to check if I was in the room. I backed out, quiet as a breath, and went to my bedroom. Sat down at my desk. Opened my encrypted folder. The one labeled Contingency Plan A. Inside it was a full scan of the 8-page agreement they signed. Mateo had added an addendum last month, a clause confirming that the funds were a loan, with 7% annual interest, repayable in 12 monthly installments of $1,000, starting 30 days after the first withdrawal. They never read it. I had all their signatures. I had the entire account history. I had them. But I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to argue. I was going to let them finish the job, bury themselves completely. Because the only thing better than catching someone in the act is watching them commit the whole crime with your name on the receipts. So I waited. They toured a 3-bedroom fixer-upper in an overpriced part of town. Sabrina posted a selfie in front of it with the caption, "Manifested. Dreams loading." The next day, $3,750 vanished from the account in a wire transfer labeled "Initial escrow deposit." That was the last of it. Every dollar. Gone. The final stage had begun. They called a family meeting the next day. A family meeting. Like we were some tight-knit unit, and not 3 con artists, and the bank they lived with. "Arlo," Mom said, setting a stack of real estate papers on the dining table like they were holy scripture. "We wanted to share some very exciting news." I already knew, of course. I'd seen the listing, the escrow documents, even the email thread between Sabrina and the realtor where she'd referred to the house as my future brand HQ. But I played dumb. Sat down. Blinked a few times like a confused golden retriever. "We bought a house." Sabrina squealed. I tilted my head. "You bought a house?" She rolled her eyes like I was slow. "Well, we made the down payment. But yes. It's basically ours. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, perfect space for my studio, and Mom and Dad get their own wing." "You used my account?" Dad shrugged like he was ordering takeout. "You said we could." "For bills. For essentials." "This is essential," Mom said. "It's a home. It's an investment in family stability." I let a long silence stretch. Then I asked, "Which room is mine?" Sabrina laughed. Actually laughed. "You're 27. Don't you think it's time you found your own place?" Dad nodded like he was dispensing ancient wisdom. "You're a grown man, Arlo. This house is more of a fresh start. For your sister." "So let me get this straight," I said slowly. "You drained what you thought was my entire savings, bought a house with it, didn't include me, and now want me to move out." "Oh, honey," Mom said with a smile that made me want to flip the table. "You'll still help with the mortgage, right?" I stared at her. She didn't flinch. They really believed it. That I was obligated to fund their new life even if I wasn't invited to be part of it. $1,450 mortgage. $300 in utilities. Sabrina had even scribbled it out on a sticky note I saw on the edge of the paperwork, titled Monthly Arlo Budget. They had a budget for me, using money they stole from me, to pay for a house I couldn't live in. That's when I stood up. Walked to my room. Came back with the original loan agreement and the spreadsheet. I dropped it on the table. "What's this?" Sabrina asked, brow furrowing. "Receipts," I said. "For the loan I gave you." Dad flipped to the first page. I watched the color drain from his face. "This says loan. Not gift. Not shared account. Loan. With 7% interest. With signatures from all 3 of you. Right here. And here. And here." Mom grabbed the papers like she could shake the meaning out of them. "You tricked us." "No," I said. "You tricked yourselves. I gave you a chance to show respect. To prove you valued me as more than your ATM. Instead, you stole. Lied. And laughed in my face." "Arlo," Sabrina started. "You owe me $10,000, I said. Plus 7% interest, due in monthly payments of $1,000 starting next week. Or I take you to court." Silence. The longest silence we'd ever shared. And then I smiled. Cold. Professional. "Oh, and one more thing," I added. "You can keep the house." They all perked up, confused. "I want no part of it." "Which means if you default on this loan, I have no problem putting a lien on the property." "Good luck refinancing it then." Mom looked like she was going to faint. Sabrina looked like she was about to scream. Dad just stared at the papers, knowing deep down he'd signed his way into checkmate. And I went to the fridge, grabbed the last slice of birthday cake they never offered me, and took a bite like a victory lap. The fallout hit faster than I expected. That night, they slammed doors like teenagers. No one spoke to me at dinner. Sabrina posted a passive-aggressive quote on her Instagram story. "Family isn't always blood." Mom cried loudly enough to be heard from 2 rooms over. Dad turned the thermostat down to 60 like passive aggression was a thermostat setting. I didn't flinch. The first loan payment was due in 6 days. Nothing. I waited, just to be fair. Day 7, I sent a certified letter. Official. Polite. Cold. Notice of default, payment 1 missed. Sabrina texted me, furious. You're really doing this? To your own family? I replied with a link to a YouTube video titled, What is a Legally Binding Contract? Day 10, I filed in small claims court. $1,000 plus interest. Filing fees. Total, $1,150. When they got served, my dad called me. He didn't yell. He didn't argue. He begged. Arlo, this could ruin our credit. You don't want that, do you? You should have thought of that when you spent the money. We didn't think you'd actually. You didn't think I mattered enough to take seriously. Click. Sabrina tried to rally the family. She texted every cousin, aunt, and half-baked uncle in a 300-mile radius. Her group chat screenshots started circulating. He's suing us over money. He tricked us. He's obsessed with punishing me for being successful. I countered with my own campaign. I sent the signed contract to each person she contacted. Pages 3, 5, and 8. Highlighted. Timestamped. I included a neat bulleted list of the spa days, steakhouse dinners, tablet purchases, and down payment wires. I called it the timeline of entitlement. The response? Radio silence. Even Aunt Lila, queen of neutrality, texted me. You did everything right. Don't let them guilt you. Day 21, court day. I showed up in a tailored navy blazer and clean sneakers. Brought my copies. Highlighted tabs. Mateo came with me, just to sit in the back like an avenging legal angel. They came with a lawyer who looked like he printed his JD off Craigslist. Their whole defense was, we didn't read it. The judge, a tired woman with years of fraud cases behind her, actually chuckled. You signed 3 pages, all labeled loan agreement in bold. You spent the money. You owe the money. Gavel. Judgment for the plaintiff. $1,150 plus fees. Sabrina's jaw dropped like someone unplugged her brain. After court, Mom caught me outside. Please, she said. We're behind on the mortgage. Sabrina's having anxiety attacks. Your father's blood pressure. I stopped her. You didn't ask about my anxiety when you used my money for sushi and spa days. We're your family. No, I said. You're my debtors. I walked away as her mouth hung open, like someone had erased the script she'd used her whole life. And for the first time in years I felt weightless. They made one payment after the court judgment. Exactly $1,150. My guess? They borrowed it from someone, maybe guilt-tripped a relative who hadn't seen the documents yet. Or maybe sold a piece of furniture. Either way, it bought them exactly 1 month of silence. Month 2 came and went. No payment. No apology. Just more silence. The passive-aggressive kind. I waited 5 days. Then filed another claim. Same court. Same judge. This time with less patience. Judgment for the plaintiff. Again. Now they owed me $2,300 plus compounding interest and an additional $900 in court fees. That loan was starting to snowball into something they couldn't ignore. Not unless they planned to sell blood plasma every week. And I wasn't even trying to bury them. Not yet. Then Raphael, my father, tried to be clever. He called me from a blocked number. We want to settle, he said. Talk like adults. I met him at a diner. Neutral territory. He looked tired. His hands trembled around the coffee mug, and for a second, I thought maybe he was going to apologize. He didn't. We'll pay $500 a month, he said. The agreement says $1,000? That's too much. We have the mortgage, utilities, Sabrina's car lease. Sounds like a budgeting problem, I replied, taking a bite of my toast. He leaned in, lowered his voice. You're destroying your family over 10 grand. I set my fork down. No, I said. You destroyed our family when you chose your daughter's Instagram career over your son's trust. I'm just collecting the bill. He said nothing. Just stared at his coffee like it might offer a refund. The next day, I filed for a lien against the house. It cost me $87.15 at the county clerk's office. Boom. Official record. If they tried to sell, refinance, or take out a second mortgage, I'd be first in line. 3 days later, Sabrina finally called. You've made your point, she said. Are you happy? No, I replied. But I'm not angry either. I'm precise. You're going to push us into foreclosure. That would require you to default on your mortgage. Which, given your history, seems likely. She went quiet. I let it hang. Then added, You bought a house with stolen money. I gave you a chance to treat it with respect. You used it for brunch and throw pillows. Now it's just business. She hung up. A week later, I got a notification. New credit inquiry from Sabrina Martinez. They were trying to refinance. I smiled, took a sip of my coffee, and whispered to no one. Good luck. 3 weeks later, I got a text from an unfamiliar number. Hey, is this Arlo? I'm the loan officer working with Sabrina on a refinance. She listed you as a credit complication. Can we talk? I nearly spit out my coffee. I called Mateo. She really thinks she can refinance with a lien on the house? He laughed. Not unless she finds a lender with a death wish. So I called the loan officer back. Calm. Friendly. Sent him the legal paperwork. The lien. The judgments. The court orders. Next day? Refinance denied. The week after that, I got a new notification. Public notice of foreclosure filing. Maricopa County Recorder's Office. I opened it. Their mortgage company had officially filed. 3 months behind. Sabrina and my parents had made the down payment, but after that? They'd fallen off the cliff. No reserves. No backup plan. No clue. They had 45 days to cure the debt, or the house would be sold at auction. The same house they bought with my money. I almost felt bad. Almost. Instead, I sent them a printed copy of the lien notice. No note. No signature. Just a legal page with a bright yellow sticky note that read, Told you. 2 days later, Dad showed up at my office. Again. He looked worse this time. Thinner. Pale. Hair messed up like he'd been pulling it out. Security called. There's a Mr. Martinez here to see you. Says he's your father. I sighed. Send him up. But stay outside the door. He walked in like a man about to audition for mercy. I'm begging you, he said before even sitting down. We're going to lose the house. Please. I leaned back, stared at him. You made your bed, I said. And apparently spent my sheets doing it. He didn't laugh. We'll never recover from this, he said. Should have read the contract. You're going to let your parents go bankrupt over a technicality? It's not a technicality. It's a signed loan agreement with interest and default clauses. You're not a victim. You're a defaulter. His shoulders sagged. He rubbed his temples. Sabrina's not eating. Elena cries every night. I've got ulcers. Try ramen and court-mandated accountability, I said. Cheap and effective. He stood. You'll regret this. I stood too. I regretted trusting you, I said. But this is me learning. He stormed out. Security closed the door gently behind him. I sat down and sent one more email. To Mateo. Subject, proceed with garnishment. Let the system do what they refuse to, pay their debt. The garnishment order took 10 days to process. Once approved, it hit fast. Marco's paycheck from the car dealership? 25% diverted. Elena's retail kiosk? Same. Sabrina? Well, Target had no problem complying with the court order. Just like that, I started getting automatic transfers, $300 here, $275 there, trickling in like interest-tinged apologies. Mateo handled the flow-through. For every garnished dollar, he took a modest admin fee and sent me the rest. It wasn't about the money at that point. It was about watching the legal system do what family never had, hold them accountable. A month in, Sabrina quit her job. Thought she could dodge it. Mateo smiled. That's cute, he said. We'll just find her next one. Sure enough, 3 weeks later, she picked up hours at a nail salon under a friend's name. But garnishment doesn't care about friend hookups. It finds you. And it did. They started calling. Begging. First a voicemail from Mom. Arlo, we're down to $600 a month. We're drowning. Then a text from Sabrina. You're destroying our lives over 10 grand. Haven't you done enough? And then the envelope arrived. Handwritten. Inside, a letter from my dad. A real one. Ink smudged. Torn edges. Son. I know we failed you. I know we abused your trust. But please. We're losing everything. Your mother is sick. Sabrina's barely scraping by. The stress is killing me. We've paid you back most of it. Please let us move forward. We're your family. Dad. I sat with that letter for a long time. Read it again. And again. Then I poured a drink, lit a candle, and flipped open my laptop. I drafted a reply. Dear Marco. You are not my burden. You were my borrower. You asked me to trust you. You spent what wasn't yours. You're not being punished, you're being held accountable. When I receive the full balance, plus interest, garnishment ends. Not a day sooner. Arlo. I mailed it the next morning. And for good measure? I attached a copy of the original agreement with their signatures, again, in case they'd forgotten. 2 weeks later they cracked. They borrowed from someone. Or sold something. Or begged on hands and knees. Because 33 days after that letter, I got a full wire transfer. $4,100. Final payment. Principal plus all accrued interest. I called Mateo. It's done, I said. I'll file the release today. I hung up and stared at my bank app. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like a receipt. Proof that I hadn't imagined it. Proof that what they did was real, and that I wasn't crazy for saying no. That night I packed my last bag. Moved into a new 2-bedroom condo across town. Quiet neighborhood. Clean trim. Nobody screaming about grocery money. Nobody stealing my future for granite countertops and ring lights. The house they bought with my money? Foreclosed. Auctioned off. Someone flipped it and resold it within 6 months. Profit none. My family? Scattered. Bitter. Broke. And me? Sleeping 8 hours a night. Eating takeout on a balcony I paid for myself. With my money. A year later, I married someone who never once asked for a dime. We bought a house with a real porch and no ghosts. I still get the occasional email from Sabrina, usually around tax season. I don't reply. The gift they gave me was clarity. I'm not cruel. I'm just done. Boundaries aren't betrayal, they're survival. And mine? Paid off. In full.